section, this is not a section in the book. It's a review of Algebra 1. It's not an official section in our Algebra 2 book, but it's important enough that we need to discuss it. Okay, so example 1, and this one's good if you have 2 colors. Okay, so if you have a second color, try to find a second color. Like even a black pen and a pencil would be better, but any color with a pencil would be good. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you first a method that always works, and then I'm going to show you a method where you could be a little bit more creative, and sometimes that saves you time. Okay, so first I'm going to show you the method that always works. Okay, so the method I use that always works is I draw an up arrow on this one and a down arrow on this one. What you're doing, oh, I've never called it this before, but I just have a better name. You exchange the numbers. Okay, so the 1 at the bottom, you put at the top, and the 3 at the top, you put at the bottom. So this is going to be one way that works all the time. So it might be faster because you don't have to think, oh, I could do this, 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 or this, and then this is the one I'm going to choose. This is just always do the same thing. So sometimes that saves you some time. If the numbers are too big, then sometimes that doesn't save you. So put a parentheses on that side. Okay, and then over here, you're going to put times 1 because that's what you are multiplying by. Okay, and then this one, put a parentheses, and then you would times this one by 3. So that's where the second color really helps. Now, the reason you're putting a parentheses is because you're distributing this to both. You're multiplying the whole row, and position-wise, when you're doing the questions, people tend to get them right more if they go sideways because there's no numbers in the way. When they go down, sometimes they'll grab one of the other numbers from the other equation. Okay, so this is 3x. Well, let me go back in my original color. So this is 3x minus 7y equals -6. And the bottom one is 3x plus 6y equals 33. And you will have seen this in geometry. Okay. Now, the plan on elimination is called add to eliminate. So write that over here, add to eliminate. But what if I add right now? What's 3x plus 3x? What's 3x plus 3x? Okay, do you feel like that eliminated the x's? Do you feel like that eliminated the x's? Right, so I need to eliminate the x's. So instead, I'm not going to subtract because subtraction with negatives gets you all messed up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change all the signs in one equation. Okay, so let's write a little note here under here that says change signs of one row if needed to get 0. Okay. And you writing the words means we have to do less examples. Like today, I believe there's like 4 or 5 examples for Mn3, and then we're going to start on Mn4, but your homework is Mn3. Okay, then you add, and what's 3x plus negative 3x? Yeah, so then that's going to cancel. Exactly. Okay, and then this one is negative 13y. And this is what? Down 6, down 33. So that's a lot down, right? So you would add the numbers, and it's still down. Cool. Okay. And while you guys are here, because most of you are here, except Caesar, is remember tutorials for my class are required. Okay, so if for some reason you need to miss tutorial, you should send me a text in advance to see if it's an appropriate reason. Okay, because there's certain things that can excuse you from tutorials, but not many. Okay, so make sure you send me ahead of time because my tutorials are required. I give you points for them. Okay. Okay, so negative divided by negative is what? Okay, and then how many 13s does it take to make 39? 3? Okay, so positive 3. Now I call something last step because I want to put it somewhere else in the problem. So do you see I have this big gap over here to the left? Okay, but if somebody's trying to follow my work, they're not going to know what order I'm going in. So I label it last step. So write last step over here. So last step is, hey, I did everything else first, and this is what I'm going back to. Okay. Now, last step, does anyone remember what you do when you get y equals 3? Like, what do you do next? How do you get x? Exactly, you plug it in. So you pick an equation. Now you get to pick either one. I normally pick the one with less negatives, but if you don't want to think, like you don't have to choose. If you don't feel like choosing, just always pick the top one. Exactly. And we're going to substitute this in here, and you get 3x minus 7 times 3 equals negative 6. Okay, and then what do you do with the 7 and the 3? Okay. You guys, I love reading your chats. It makes me so happy. I love seeing your typing. And you get to answer more than during school. There's no, I was thinking with the chats, we get our chats up to like 600 every day. And I'm thinking, if you guys were saying 600 things during class, I think I would be going crazy. I'd be like, shh, shh, shh. But this is awesome. Okay. And then how do I get x by itself? How do I get x by itself? Yep. Oh, I love this. You guys make me so happy. Okay, make sure you guys are doing chats though, because some of you aren't doing too many. Okay, and if you're not doing too many and you're like, but I don't know what to write, well, just write what everybody else wrote, right? Okay, so this is what, down 6, up 21? So down 6, up 21. Should I add or subtract the 26 and the 21? Is that 27, or do I need to like borrow and carry and all that stuff? What do you think? If I go down some stairs and up some stairs? It's an interesting question, right? So I went down a little, so I'm at 0, and then I went down 6 stairs, but then I'm trying to go up 21 stairs. So I go up 6 to get back, and then I don't have 27 stairs. 27 would be down and down. Yeah, so you subtract. Okay, so I subtract and I get 15. Now, are there more ups or more downs? More ups. So that would be positive 15. I know you've been using a calculator the last couple years, or at least definitely last year in geometry. But in case you get a college professor that doesn't have you use a calculator, or you juniors, when you're seniors, you might have to take the SAT. You know how they're talking about because of COVID, some of the SATs have been canceled. I think for seniors, you don't need it for your college applications. But who knows what will be the case for juniors? But you don't know. In college, you might get a teacher who doesn't have a calculator. I like not having a calculator in my class only because the numbers are nicer. When they give you a calculator, then the numbers can be crazy. Okay, anyway, divide. You guys divide. So what do you get? X equals 5. And then you present your answer as a coordinate. Okay, so that your answer looks like this. And you could do consistent, independent, dependent, but you don't have to because they don't ask usually. Cool. So what's my official answer? My official coordinate answer. Mhm. Yep. And I know that you're typing, so you don't have to put the parentheses, but you need the parentheses because the parentheses means that you care about the order. If you don't put the parentheses, it means that you don't care about the order. Okay. Now, Xavier, have I been seeing your name? Let me check my Express chat counter. I was thinking, I haven't been reading your name go by. Let's see. Okay. Dang, you guys are awesome here. Yeah. Kyle Lara, make sure you type more, okay? Madison. Tristan. Okay. Oh, Xavier, you're typing tons. I'm just not seeing it as the stuff is going through. Okay. You guys, my screen's scrolling through fast, just like it's on yours. Okay. Does that make sense? You guys kind of remember this? You did do some of this in geometry, didn't you? Like a little bit? Yeah, a little bit in geometry. So this isn't all the way back from Algebra 1. Our Mn4 that we're going to start today, we're going to probably have time for 3 examples today in Mn4, and then we'll finish the examples the next time I see you. Okay. So example 1. Okay, so let's do example 2. Oh, one thing I wanted to show, can you write this up here? Put always use positives here. Okay, don't multiply by negatives at that step. That messes people up. Sometimes they'll already be opposite and you're like happy, and then you multiply them by, like, say that was a -3 and you multiplied by -3, then sometimes you end up getting them the wrong signs again. Okay, so I was writing that. Always use, I just wrote this right here. Okay, so make sure you write that. It doesn't have to be highlighted. It could be highlighted. So let me show you another one. And sometimes there's shortcuts. So I'll talk about that in example 3, that sometimes you might have a shortcut, but you have to think about it. Like, meaning you have to look at it and say, oh, I have these 4 different ways. One is a shortcut. Well, but you could have just done it faster by maybe multiplying by the alternate numbers. What did I call them? Oh, I forgot what I called them. I had a good name earlier, but I forgot what I called it. Okay. Example 2. Oh, yeah, I had a great name. I totally forgot it. That sucks. Okay. I usually call it switching the numbers, but I had a good name earlier. I just forgot what I called it. Okay, so let's do our switching numbers method. Multiply by the other number. Exchange, is that what I called it? Okay, I'm going to write that right here. Maybe if I write it down, I'll remember. Exchange numbers. I like that. Okay, so what am I going to put on the top? Okay, good. I'm glad you guys remembered. Okay. What am I going to put at the top? 9. Which means I have to put it over here too, and include the parentheses. Okay. And on your homework, you won't need to have another color, just so you know. You definitely don't need another color. Okay, what about this one? Okay, I agree. And then even if one of them was negative, I wouldn't multiply by negatives. Okay, I'm going to write that somewhere else. Exchange numbers. I guess exchange front numbers, kind of, right? Okay, and then I never had a name for that. Okay, so 18, oops. I never had a good name for that. Okay, so 18x minus 63y. A lot of people don't do the 63y. So they forget when they're distributing, they forget to distribute it to the second one. And sometimes you'll forget to multiply it by the thing on the right as well. Okay, 18x plus 6y equals 24. Now, if I add right now, are they already good, or do I need to change the sign? What do you think? If I add 18 and 18, am I going to get 0? I need to change the sign. Okay, so to change the sign, you're allowed to change the sign at the top or the bottom. So if I was doing this with my math teacher brain, I probably would be like, oh, let's change the signs at the top because there's negatives. But on the other hand, I kind of like thinking, have a plan where every time I could do the exact same thing. Exchange the numbers, change the bottom row if I need to. So you do have some flexibility when you're solving these. Okay, so probably I would change the top signs, but I kind of want to give you a way that just works no matter what. So you get that 0. I'm just going to put a little 0 here, just so I remember I am supposed to get 0. Some people cross out like 18 and 18, and they don't make them opposite. So remember to think add, and then you're getting 0. And then it's funny, I made up this problem, but I didn't make up the problem to work out. So I have this bad number you're not supposed to use in math class. But I just made up the problem, like when I was writing the problem, I didn't write the solution. I was just in second period yesterday. I was like, if I make X and Y 1, it's super easy to make up the question. So because then the X's and the Y's don't really matter. So that's why I wrote 2 minus 7 equals -5 and 9 plus 3 equals 12. So I just randomly made up those numbers. And then it turned out that it has this number that you're not supposed to have in math. Okay, so divide by -69. -69. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, it was next. Y equals 1. Okay, what do you do after you get Y equals 1? What do you do after you get Y equals 1? Plug in. Okay, so I'm going to call it last step. So you're going to just write it somewhere you have space. And maybe your space is up here to the right, right? I don't know where you have space. Wherever you have space, just label it last step so I can find it. Okay, so wherever you wrote it is fine. I'm going to actually choose the second equation. Now you can always pick the top one. I'm going to pick the second one because there's more positives. You know, I make less mistakes if there's more positives. But you're allowed to pick either one. 9x plus 3 equals 12, right? -3 minus 3. You guys are good at this. Divide by 9, divide by 9. See, I just made the answer 1. When I make up my own question, the answers are often 1, 1. And then this is the answer. They're not asking us about consistent, independent, and all that stuff yet. But this would be, they just met for lunch at the 0.11. Okay, I'm going to scroll up, but I know I'm kind of going too fast. I know I did that last part without asking you guys. So I was speeding through. Let me scroll up, probably or at least to here. Okay. This one I'm going to show you a different variety. Okay, so I'm going to show you the way I'm first showing you, which works every single time. And then I'm going to show you the quote shortcut that if you notice it, it would save you time. But if you don't notice it, it doesn't really matter. So I'll show you. But also when you're in college and your college professor randomly multiplies by different things, you'll realize, oh, that's another way, but I just chose something different. Okay. So I also want to show you one where they're opposites. This problem has a couple of interesting things in it. Okay. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do the opposite way first, and then I'm going to show you like a potential shortcut in case the numbers get big. But again, if you don't think of the shortcut, then it's not really a shortcut. Like the time it takes to think of the shortcut, actually you could finish the problem already. Okay, so you're going to exchange the numbers. Okay, so that's what we called it, right? Exchange numbers. This is step 1. But positive only. Okay, so only make them positive. In this question, you would get yourself extra work if you ended up multiplying by -6, because then you would have made them both -24. And it's kind of an advantage that we're going to have one of each sign already. Okay. So what do you get? What's your top equation say? Can everybody type what your top equation says? Okay. So type the whole thing that I'm supposed to write at the right. Okay, cool. But can you, I'm sorry, Tristan, can you multiply it out? That's what I meant. I wasn't very specific. So you guys look at everybody's answers. Okay, I agree. I agree. I did see that some of you put 2 instead of 12 in the middle because you didn't distribute to the middle one. So that's a common error. Okay, and then what about the bottom one? Okay, draw the arrows because some of you are forgetting to distribute it to the middle one. So draw your arrows. And then you know what the sad situation is going to be? Is that if you forget the arrows, you're going to get fractions and you're going to be sad. Not only will you be wrong, but you will be wrong and stuck in the middle of a fraction nightmare. Okay. Okay, so negative 24x. So you guys check the middle one. That's the most common place people make a mistake. It's a 12y in the middle equals negative 36. Okay, and then right over here, add. Okay, because you're trying to force your brain to think, I'm really just adding, but I'm adding so that one row will eliminate. So this gives you 0. Oh, that's weird. So this is a weird one. Weird one, right? 0 equals 0. Okay, so sometimes you're in the middle of a problem and then you get this and you're like, what the heck is going on? Okay, so what the heck is going on? And let me show you what you do. So, right, if there's no more letters, okay, so if there's no more letters, so you can't have a letter at all. It's not that you get like 1y equals 0, but there's just no more letters. All your letters went away. You're going to decide if it's true or false. So you're going to have to ask yourself, is 0 over 0, is 0 equals 0 true or false? So is this true or false? What if it said 0 equals 9? So 0 equals 9 would be false. So what about 0 equals 0? Okay, so true. So write true. Okay, so if it's true, you're going to write infinitely. I'll spell this out because you're going to have to write it this way. It's not infinite. Okay, it's not an infinite solution. It's infinitely many solutions. Okay, so you have to write it this way. So this is infinitely many solutions. This is your same line where you and your friend are with each other every single second of the day. That's the infinitely many solutions. And you know, I didn't write this in the other class because I'm looking at their notes, so I'm going to have to remember to tell them, is what if it's false? You can't, because the infinity symbol means the answer is 20 billion. This one's not saying the answer is 20 billion. We're saying there are 20 billion solutions. Yeah, so false is no solution. So we can't use the infinity symbol. So you say infinitely many solutions, and then that's your answer. Okay. And then, yes, it would be no solution if it was false, but I didn't tell the other. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I want to show you an or. Okay, and then this is going to be the creative way. So write the same problem again. And then I'm going to actually wait for Ashley to be back before I show this one. And this is only going to be a little half example. So you don't have to leave too much space, maybe 2 lines. Okay, so when Ashley gets back, because otherwise the words mean a lot on that one. Okay, so we're gonna come back to this part right here in the middle when she gets back. Okay, but I don't want to show the thinking of a shortcut when a student isn't there. So that's why you're going to put BRB if you're going to go away. And I'll pause for you too. Okay, so we will go back to this in a minute. Okay, so I just need to remember that I want to go back to that. Okay, so for this one, what's the standard way? What's my standard way? I exchange my numbers. Okay, and then we're not going to end up doing it the standard way. Okay, so we're not going to finish this. Okay, so we're going to put this. Okay. This method is less thinking, which is totally okay. I'm not judging. Okay. So it's totally fine, but you've got this, right? Like you could finish this one, multiply, change signs, add, right? So I want to show you the other way. Okay, so I want to show you the more like decision way. Okay, so I'm going to show you the creative way. And because most math teachers do it the way their brain thinks of it, they look at all the possibilities and find like the shortest way. But as a student, it's nice to just have a way. Hey, Ashley, are you back? Okay, good. Okay, so let's go back to this one first. Okay, so it's like it's a shortcut, but so I'm going to put shortcut, but it involves more decisions. So I'm calling it a shortcut because it is a shortcut, but it's not a shortcut if you don't know, the back tricky way. Say you go the back tricky way. You're like, oh, well, it's shorter this way. Well, yeah, but I'm going to get lost on the way. You know what I mean? Okay, so let me show you though, because I want to show you, and that's I'm sure the way your teacher taught you too before. Okay, so if you look at the numbers 4 and 6, okay, so we're going to still go with changing x's. So if you look at 4 and 6, do you have to multiply the 4 by 6 and the 6 by 4, or could you have a different common denominator? Okay, now these are not denominators, right? But we're going to write over here, common denominator, which is like everybody's worst thing in math is finding the common denominator. So why do we want elimination to be based on common denominators? Okay, so 2 is the common factor. Okay, so 2 is the common factor. And the common denominator would be, what if you had 1/4 and 1/6? What number would you make them both become? Like, what would you put on the bottom of both of them? Would you put the bottom to be 12s or would you put the bottoms to be 2s? Okay, now you guys, your democracy is not working. Okay, so if I made them both 2s, how would I change them into 2s? You guys look at this. How would I make them both into 2s? Can I make them into 2s? Anyone want to revise their answer? Now, you guys, you haven't taken a common denominator since you were, in elementary or in middle school, so it's been a while. Yeah, so and you guys, I'm calling it a shortcut, right? But you have to find a common denominator. So what kind of shortcut is a shortcut where you have to find a common denominator? Right? So that's why I'm calling it a shortcut, because it kind of is a shortcut, but you have to think of a common denominator. Okay. What you do then is you make both 12x. But people would ask me, Miss Nichols, how did you get the 12? So the 12 is the common denominator, but we could see that it's kind of tricky to find a common denominator because our brains don't think that way anymore. Okay, now, but once I decide I want to make them both 12, what would you multiply the top row by? 3. And what would I multiply the bottom row by? Yeah, so your numbers are smaller. And then we're just going to put etc. because you got the process once we know what numbers to multiply by. Okay. Now, if your numbers are huge, then you could say, well, I have to deal with these super big numbers, so it would be better to have smaller numbers. So sometimes if you're like, oh, those numbers are big, then maybe try to think of a common denominator. Or just go through it with bigger numbers and you'll still get the right answer. Okay, let's actually do this example 4 with the creative way. Okay, so I'm not going to actually exchange the front numbers. I want you to look at this column. How could you make that column match? How could you make the Y column match instead? Multiply. You have to multiply by something. So what do you have to multiply by? Multiply by 2, which equation? Just the bottom one? Hey, that's pretty exciting. Right? I could just multiply the bottom one by 2. Well, that seems like less work, but you have to notice it. So the noticing it is not less work. Okay, so the way that always works is the exchanging way. So write yourself a little note. It always works, works to exchange. Always works to exchange. But if you notice, an easier way to match, that's okay too. Okay? Okay, so let's just do it with the shorter way on this one. But I really don't care which way you do it. So it just depends on the individual. So some of you will look at the Y column and be like, oh, just multiply by 2. And some of you will just go with the beginning and we would have been done already. Right? We would have been done already if we multiplied by the 2 and the 3. Okay, so this is what? 4x minus 8y equals 8. Okay, if I add, are they going to eliminate? Or do I need to change the signs? And then I'm looking at my Y column, not my X column, right? Because those numbers don't match. Okay, so I'm going to change the signs of the bottom. And I like to change them in another color, but it's not required in your homework. Negative 1x, that's 0, equals what? That's up 3, down 8. And you guys try not to use a calculator, right? Because you want to make sure that you can do it without a calculator in case your college professor has you doing it without a calculator. Change. Okay, and I don't know if we're going to have state tests this year. They may or may not, but the state tests for juniors, some problems are with calculator, some problems are without a calculator. And then for you seniors, when you go to college, some professors will use a calculator, some won't. Okay, so what is 3 and negative 8? 5? Negative 5? 5? More downs or more ups? More downs? Okay, so negative 5. Okay, cool. And then divide by negative 1. Then x equals 5. And then I need the other letter. So pick an equation, right? So last step, pick an equation. Okay, this one feels a little backwards. What should I do to solve this one? I agree. Then, and this was one of them. This, I think, was number 17 in last night's homework. Let's see, I think I wrote it. Yeah, number 17 of last night's homework. So they did not meet at a nice number. Negative divided by negative is what? A positive? And then what do you reduce by? What number goes into 12 and 8? Okay, so 3 over 2. Now, in a math class in college and high school, usually you're going to leave your answer like this. But this is actually 1.5. This was number 17 from last night. So you guys look at your number 17 from last night's homework. Does yours look like it hits at 1.5? So look at last night's homework homework number 2, number 17, and see if it kind of looks like it might hit there, right? But you didn't know for sure. And what if it hit at like 1.7? I mean, I'd have no idea that it hit at 1.7. So the algebraic way is definitely the safer way. Sounds good? Okay, so we're going to do we're going to start Mn4 because since we have only 3 days we meet per week. I mean, I know we meet every day because of tutorial, but I really don't want to teach during the tutorials. Then, you can concentrate in the morning, and then in the afternoon we can just talk. The what do I want to say? We need to start Mn4. I wish we could finish Mn4 today, but we're not going to have time to finish Mn4 today. Oh, those are not my current Mn4s. Okay. No. Okay, so let me just quickly go through the schedule. Okay, so let me just tell you the schedule for next week. Block 1 is Monday. Block 2 is Tuesday. Block 1 is Wednesday. Block 2 is Thursday. Friday is 1 through 6. That's the normal week. So you're going to call Friday kind of a minimum day because they're 40-minute schedules. There's nothing for you in the afternoon, normal Fridays. This Friday's different. Okay, now block 1 starts with 1, 2, 3. Those are your long classes, and then 4, 5, 6 are your short classes. And you guys, you should still go, even, I know my class it's required, but your other ones, you guys, what if a teacher tells you something important there? Tells you it's on a test or a quiz or something, and you're not there. So I would say if anybody goes. I know, Michael. So if no one's going, that's a different story, right? But if anybody goes, somebody said you have to text them to let them know that you're going to be there, right? But what you could do is, 10 minutes into the period or 5 minutes into the period, just kind of check, check if anyone's there. Okay. Okay, well. And what the other teachers have said is they're going to start individually helping students and let you know if you're struggling. But I don't know. I just think it's nice to be able to have a time where we could talk about other things. We could express concerns. We could look if we're having troubles with the homework. Oh, that's sad, Ashley. Can I just tell you guys this week from a teacher's perspective? It is so overwhelming. Oh my gosh. I've had meetings with teachers who set stuff up with me, and they're sending me text messages. It's like, I just can't meet after school. I'm too tired. You guys, it feels like we ran a marathon. Like for you, I think that's true too, but like I'm not even getting to notes until 15 minutes into the period. Like we just feel frantic. So, and guys, I'm good at technology, and I've been using my tablet to teach for years. So I'm pretty good at my tablet. So, well, not years, maybe a year and a half, right? And then I taught summer school. So I already developed some techniques in summer school, and it's still overwhelming to me. So they're just really overwhelmed right now. Okay, so I think at this point, my best friend at school, she's a math teacher, and she said, I've had to answer 300 student emails in 4 days. So they're just overwhelmed. So give them a little, a little leeway. Okay. I'm just thinking I'm just going to be there from the beginning and then we'll figure it out. But it's chaotic. Oh my gosh. I feel chaos. And you guys, taking attendance is hard. We already discussed that yesterday. Okay. And actually it says one of the extensions on Google Meet, it crashed. It was crashing people's computers. And what it was is the attendance one. So anyway, I've been doing pretty good with my express chat counter, so that's been working very nice, the one my brother wrote for me. But I knew it was going to be a problem because of summer school, because I was trying to figure out if 9 students were there. So I would look at the list and I'm like, who am I missing? Like I had one A, his name was Alex, and then I had 3 Ds. So like Dean, David, and who was my third D, And then I had 2 Is, Ivan and C. And then J, I had a Jorge, and then S, Savannah, and then I had an H, Haley. And then I was only looking at 9, and I realized, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So anyway, hopefully they will feel much better and be able to handle stuff. You guys, I'm getting so many emails just from the other teachers' classes that I'm a co-teacher in, and it says, Allison Shelton posted this, posted this, posted this, posted this. So like I try to go through my emails and find emails from students and it's not working. Oh, also, one of my students said yesterday, she sent me an email and I searched and I could not find it. She said she sent an email from the school website. I'm thinking that might not be going through because I never got it. So maybe it would be better to look at the school website for the new address. You guys, our new addresses look like this. They just changed it like a week ago. Okay, they just changed it like a week ago, so maybe it didn't change all the way. So our endings are wvusd.org instead of the old one. You can still send it to the old one, but anyway, hers never got to me. And she was asking me, and she's like, "But you never answered my email." I was like, "I thought I went through and answered all the emails, but perhaps not." Okay, so we're gonna do Mn4. Okay, so we're gonna do Mn4. Okay, I'm going to unshare this for just a second because I want you to think of how to solve it. And if you see my OneNote picture of it that I never sent to myself, then you're going to get too many hints. So I'm just secretly sending this to myself. I didn't send it to myself yesterday. I want to be consistent with your class and the other Algebra 2 class. That's funny. I was trying to send it to Algebra 2. Okay, I meant to send it to myself. So this is math notes for examples 1 through 3. We'll only have time for example 1 through 3 today. And then on Monday, we'll do math notes, the rest of math notes 4, and then math notes 5. Well, not Monday, because I technically don't see you till Monday in the afternoon. So anyway, so we'll see about how that works. Okay, 2x plus 3y is less than 6. Okay. Oh, and I want to have this video separate. No. What, Caesar's gone? I'll just have it together. I'll just have it together. The second period want to have separate. Okay. Okay, so we're ready. Let me share again. Okay, because I want to know where you have this in your brain. Okay, so we're going to see, what do you remember? Okay, now you guys, this you have not seen since Algebra 1. Okay, so we got to try to find where it lives in your brain. Okay, so it's already in your brain somewhere. We got to see where it is. So we want to see, what do we remember and what don't we remember? Okay, so this is Mn4, and how I'm labeling the math notes is to match the homework. I did not do that during summer school, and I realized that was a big mistake. Okay, so math notes 4 is graphing linear inequalities. Graphing linear inequalities. Okay, so example 1 is 2x plus 3y is less than 6. Just make sure in the other class I had it less than. I think I did. Okay, so less than 6. Now don't type it into Google Okay, you're trying to find this in your own brain. Any recollection of what it even means or looks like, or any math vocabulary, any plan? Any plan? Any ideas? Okay. Okay. So when we have inequalities, we have open and closed circles. Okay, number line, that's a good idea, but there's 2 letters. I like what you're thinking. You guys are right. Number lines, right? We think of this, we think of number lines. This is exactly right. Okay. So one side of the graph. Now, what do you mean by that? You're right, Joshua. Yeah, remember shading? Remember you shaded one side of the graph? Okay, now look back at the less than and less than or equal to. Remember what types of lines there were. So you shaded half of the graph, but the lines were sometimes different. What kind of lines did you have? Yeah, like continuous. I call it solid. So one is a solid line. That's this one. And then this one was dashed. Remember that? And then there's shading. Cool. Okay, so you found the spot in your brain where this lives. Okay, so we're just adding to it. So reminder. We are going to do it the algebra 2 way, though. So most of you will have learned the algebra 1 way. So we're going to do it the algebra 2 way because algebra 1 only does it with lines. In algebra 2, we do it with circles, we do it with other shapes, and the like above below way doesn't work for the shading. So I'm going to show you a way called test point. Okay. So step 1 is you have to find the boundary shape. Okay, so the boundary shape, you change it to an equals. So all you do is change it to an equals. Okay, and that's going to be your boundary. In this case, it's a line. But in other sections of our book, that might be a circle. That might be a parabola. It might be something else. But in this case, it's a line. Okay, so 2 days ago, you were graphing lines, right? No, yesterday you were graphing lines. Yesterday you were graphing lines. Okay, so how do you solve this? How do you get it ready to graph? How do you get this one ready to graph? Uh-huh. Okay, so what specifically? I agree. Isolate. Okay, I like that description. 0 out 1 variable. So let's make that one 0 by moving it. So 3y equals, bring down the positive, negative 2x plus 6, and then what? Okay, and those of you who aren't chatting very much, make sure you type some chats in, okay? I know it's hard to type and write your notes. Okay, what's your y-intercept? And what's your m? And remember, I like my y-intercepts as coordinates. And since you're stuck with me as a teacher, you have to do that all year, right? Y-intercepts as coordinates. There's actually a reason that I'll show you later on why I forced you to do that. Okay, y-intercept. So what's the y-intercept on this one? Oh, I need to be on graph paper. Or change the graph paper. Okay, so 0, 2. And my m? Okay. So that'd be what? Down to right 3? Okay. And you do put when it's negative, that's 1 negative, 1 positive. Okay, so we're going to graph that. If you have graph paper, it'll be easier to graph on graph paper, but if you don't have graph paper, it still works. You just have to make your test point a little farther away. Kind of show you. Okay, so 0, 2. I'm trying to zoom in so you guys could see the blue lines better. I don't see the blue lines very well on this. Okay. Maybe they should make it a different color lines. I don't think I have a choice with my grid lines though. Page color. Okay. I think that's not helpful. How about if I made the page color yellow? Do the blue lines stand out more? Not really. Okay, that's kind of cool though, that we can change the color of the page. Yeah, I'm really sad you can't see the lines, or at least I can't see the, oh, that's barely, I can see lines. Okay, so 0, 2. So 0, 2. And then down to right 3, down to right 3. Oh, now step 1 is to change to equals. I'm writing this over here. Change to equals and graph. Okay, so this is step 1. Now step 2, actually, I'm changing colors for it, but step 2 is up here. Step 2 is what is that dashed or solid? And most people call it dotted. Yeah, I call it dashed because they're really dashes, but you can call it dotted, it's fine. So that's dashed. So then you draw your line in. So draw it dashed. And this so far is exactly what you would do for algebra 1. So the algebra 2 is step 3. Okay, so step 3, you can write it wherever you have space. You could write it over here, step 3. Okay, so wherever you have space, I feel like I have more space up there actually. So step 3, and you won't have to call it step 3, but what you're going to want to call it, you're going to have to write the word test point. Because you have to tell the person who's grading it which test point you're using. And you guys, I'm over here on the right where the blue I just highlighted. So what test point is, and if you're on graph paper, it's a little bit easier to do, but if you're not on graph paper, that's okay. You're going to pick a point that's on one side of the line. Now, I usually do not pick 0, 0. I used to always pick 0, 0. And then I realized students miss questions when it's 0, 0 because deciding if the less than is true or false is more difficult with 0, 0. So I usually choose a point like 1, 1. But on this one, it's hard to tell where 1, 1 is unless you're on graph paper. So I'm just going to pick 3, 3. Okay, so 3, 3. Now you get to, this is your choice. So you pick any point not on the line. I recommend not picking 0, 0, but I would usually pick 1, 1. Okay, so let's write usually 1, 1. Okay, but I don't want to pick 1, 1 here because I can't see it. 3, 3, I definitely know what side of the line that's on. Okay, so what you do with test point is you substitute it in to the original question. So let me substitute this in 2 colors so you could see it better. I substitute it into the original. So you take this and you substitute it. It has to be into the original, or about half the time it won't work if you don't substitute it into the original. And then this is 6 plus 9 is less than 6. So 15 is less than 6. Is 15 less than 6? No. No means don't shade that point. And I know there's other ways of doing it, but those ways don't work for all our algebra 2 questions. So we'd rather do it the algebra 2 way so that it'll work for all our questions and we don't have to have half algebra 1 and then half algebra 2. Oh, except sorry, you guys don't shade that side. Hold on, you guys. Wait. I was all excited about shading, but I was supposed to write no. So what does that mean? That means shade the other side. I was all like happy shading, but I shaded the wrong side. Sounds good. What if it's yes? Right? Then you shade the point and its side. Now, some of you learned the test point method and some of you did not learn the test point method. Okay, so this is the algebra 2 method. So over here, I'm going to write algebra 2 method. Okay, so the test point is an algebra 2 method. Algebra 1 method sometimes just let you say less than is below and greater than is above. But what if you have a circle? Right? So what if you have a circle? What's above? What's below? So that one only works well for lines. So we're going to use a method that's more robust. It will work for anything. So I don't want to show you a method that only sometimes works. Okay. Okay, and we have time, it looks like, no, I want to show you the homework. Yeah, I see that. I wanted to do one more question, but that's okay. I mean, the fact that we didn't quite get through everything I wanted to get through is okay. I wasn't going to give you homework on this until Tuesday anyway, so I'll just talk faster on Tuesday. Okay, so we're going to stop here for this one, and you're not going to have homework 4 yet. Usually once a week, I'm going to have to give you like, and maybe I'll try to do it on block A for your class, but where you have, so you see me on Tuesday for official class. So on Tuesday, I'll teach you 2 topics so that one homework you can do Tuesday and one homework you could do Wednesday. Okay, and then on Thursday, I'm going to see you, or Thursday, I'm going to see you again. Oh, so that will work. That'll be fine. I just really didn't, if I don't see you, see the Monday thing is kind of hard because I don't see you Monday, but I can't teach you 2 topics on Fridays. So I think it'll be, okay, so I want to show you what the homework is, okay? Because I'm changing the instructions for some of the homework. Okay, so let me show you what the homework is. Okay, so stop recording. And then you guys will have to remind me that